Well, we've had time and time again what the causes are. We've had border borders, taxis, poor drainage, the poor planning of the city. But tonight we want to look at what the immediate solutions to this problem can be. And that's why we have this particular gentleman joining me on set. So what are the immediate solutions to this problem?
Thank you. If I can start, because we are the people affected and always accused of bringing traffic congestion in the city. We don't bring it. Actually, if we were not there, it would be worse. People would not go to offices. If we withdrew traffic officers from Kampala, there would be chaos and anarchy. One, the statistics URA gave you are not correct.
The 635,000?
Yes, that cannot be correct. I think they are talking about vehicles they registered for the last 10 years, but there were vehicles here. For us, we have our estimate.
Which is?
In fact, we need the engineers here to assist us and tell us almost the exact number of vehicles we have. In the country, we believe we have close to 2 million vehicles. You know, the vehicles include motorcycles. Okay. That is the definition of vehicles. So in Kampala, we believe about 50 to 60% of that figure can be found in Kampala. So that's over 1 million. We estimate around the 800,000 vehicles pass through Kampala on a single day. Wow. URA is giving number of vehicles they registered, but you have forgotten that we are in the center of the northern corridor, where vehicles transit through Kampala to South Sudan, DRC, Burundi, and Rwanda, okay, among other countries. So the problem is, when you read this Kampala was constructed, that the roads in Kampala were constructed for 150,000 vehicles. Even if we go by the figure of URA, it has increased by over 400,000. That itself will make congestion. Two, I will be first, street parking in Kampala. I've been in this business for quite some time, and if you remove the street parking from Kampala, because most of the Kampala roads, like Kampala Road itself, Bombo Road, have 6 lanes, 3 this side, 3 the other side, but 2 are taken over by street parking, leaving 4 lanes, and the other 2 are taken up by taxis, off-roading and roading.
Okay, well, Dr. Kasima, as you speak, we're going to have some pictures running on the screen to show actually what we are talking about. But yes, you were saying about street parking, and I would like to ask you, engineer, to explain about the street parking. How is it that we have street parking in a city where we know our roads are as narrow as they are?
Thank you. The city is quite complex. I want to go back to the planning bit that happened sometime before. We stopped having an organized city in the 70s. We had a structure plan at the time. The city continued to grow what I call organically, so everyone was building what they want, where they want. And as a result, of course, some buildings don't have parking spaces. Like you've said, we have 5,300 spaces on the streets. The estimate for the spaces that we have in buildings is about 15,000. And then one time we carried out a survey within the city, and we found that there were 20,000 vehicles parked. 15,000 of them were parked illegally. So that just shows you the need. And we are trying very hard. We are encouraging investors to come in, invest in parking off the street. We are trying to optimize the use of road space. What do I mean? Like you've said, we have very few roads. How many kilometers do we have in the city? We have 2,100 kilometers. Of those, 527 are paved. And of those that are paved, the ones that are in good condition or fair condition, about 400, between 350 and 400. And everyone tries to drive on the paved network. They don't drive on the maram roads. So even all the vehicles you've been talking about, just go and try to squeeze into that paved network. That is about 350,000 kilometers. So 350 kilometers. So what do we have to do? We have, first of all, to work on our roads, make sure that they are all paved, so that we distribute the vehicles that we have.
But in the meantime, before we work on the roads, how do we handle the 15,000 vehicles that are parking in the city when you have space for 5,300?
Yeah, that was the next solution I was going to give you. Why do people bring these vehicles to the city? They come, this is the main mode. They feel safe that they must use the aircraft to come to the city because they don't see any other alternatives. So as a government, we have to give an alternative. And we think that we need to remove the taxis and reduce the number of vehicles coming in by providing mass transit or an efficient bus system or train system that comes into the city. And that is a challenge for all of us. We have to look for the funds to invest in something that can remove, for example, if we had a bus replacing how many border borders, if the seater capacity was 75, those are 75 border borders on the street. And that is the same as about 5 taxis. So you bring a bus, it's running efficiently, it's taking maybe the space of the equivalent of 5 taxis. So you have more space on the road. And we think that if we use more efficient means like that, then we can get rid of this. And like you've said, the population is growing. Today, there are about 4 million that are coming in. Around 2020, we expect 20 million people, or more than 10 million people to be coming in 2020. What does that mean? We shall just remain with the same space, the same roads that we have. So we have to use that space very efficiently. And it means that we must, up our game, use mass transit, get rid of unsustainable modes like the vehicles, because the vehicles will now clog all the streets. And it has been proven in many places. That's actually street parked vehicles? It looks like traffic jam, but it's street parked vehicles. Yes. Okay. And they reduce the space for those that are flowing. Mm. So if you remove those parked cars or make it expensive for those vehicles to park on the street, but provide an alternative for people to come to that street, then we'll have better streets, and those who can afford will and park in those spaces. All right. Well, Commissioner, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Josephine. I've heard from enforcement and
I may have not finished. I only talked about
the planner.
I'm coming back to you.
Yeah, okay.
But I just want to give one quick comment, because as a minister, of course, our responsibility is to regulate, set standards, monitor, and ensure that anything transport-related is in order. I would think what Jacob said, we should start from that. I think the problem with Kampala largely is land use and transport planning. So the way land is used in Kampala, how it is planned vis-a-vis the transport. Because here we are talking of this congestion. What causes it? You have too many people coming to Kampala in the center. You talked about 4 million during the day. Now what causes this? You are now putting too much pressure on the facilities in Kampala. Now, the immediate measures, there are some things that I think as a government we could quickly look into. And I have discussed it with Jacob. One, let's go to buildings. Because the street parking which Dr. Kasim is talking about, what causes that street parking?
Unplanned buildings.
Yes. If you have a building, you have approved basement parking, because the number of offices you have in that building should be equal to the number of vehicles you are going to have in that particular building. So if you have a building which was approved to have basement parking of about 100 vehicles or 200 vehicles, and during the process of construction, you turn that into shops. So it means all those vehicles that are going to be parking along that building or doing business around that building will now move onto the street. So that's a challenge, and to me, I think maybe we'll have to discuss it further with KCC. Let's introduce that deficiency fee. In Singapore, it has worked. You have a building approved, you don't follow the specifications, you will pay twice as much. So you don't actually see any profit in having that building constructed. So the best way is pay twice or demolish. That's number one. Two, the issue of street parking, which Dr. Kasim, because I'm looking at these short measures. Now, why you find some of these extra vehicles which Jacob talked about, street parking, I think also we need to look at who parks where. I will tell you about cases of buses. Of course, a bus owner operator will say, if I can get 2-3 lots, I can come and park my buses for about 3 hours. But that's not what the law says. The law says, take your bus into a gazetted park. Because if, for any reason, a passenger gets injured or is involved in any accident-related arrangement, then, I mean, the owner, you will have to pay. Because where you are parking, actually, is not approved by the authorities. So we are saying, why do you want to park a bus on a particular parking slot for 2 hours? You are actually making business very difficult to be operated in the city. So some of these parking slots, we need to understand how the whole population of street parking comes across. 3, you talked about schools. We need to check on the screen. 2,100. I think, to me, we need to start thinking bigger. These schools, really. Now we have how many schools for KCCA?
About 79.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we start looking at having satellite cities outside Kampala? If you have, I will tell you an example. Go to Namugongo. You've seen some of these supermarkets, called the supermarket. You don't need actually to come to Kampala on a Sunday or Saturday, or even weekdays, or even when the children are going back to school. Now, once you have these facilities outside the central business district, then you don't need to congest the city. 4, the last one would be on maybe reorganizing this other public transport, specifically like borders.
The untouchables.
Yes, we need. There is nothing like untouchable. You see, these things, it's just because we need to sit as major stakeholders and agree on how each mode should operate. Because we are talking of employment here. Yes, borders, you have a very big number that will have to form that part of our association organization. So the most important thing is now enforce discipline. If you are a border rider, 1, you need actually to be sure where you are going to operate from, which stage. And you know, there are 2 issues, security and safety. So if you have a helmet, you are complying with the law, then the stage leader, the KCCA or any local government should be knowing how many people operate on that particular stage.
Okay. So
that it addresses both security and safety. We can mention a number of them, but to me, those could be short-term that can be, then Kasima can add 1 million of those.
Yes, Dr. Kasima.
Yeah, you gave me little time compared to this.
You have all the time.
Now,
yes.
The third one is the presence of these tax parks in the city. Me, I will not bring examples of Singapore. Singapore is a developed country. I will bring examples of our neighboring countries. We have traveled to Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania. They don't have tax parks in the central business district.
Like that.
You look at that. All of them terminate in Kampala. There is a new and the old one, plus small stages. So everywhere. Kenya, for instance, there is a tax park called the on River Road. River Road is like in Tinda. They stay there. Those that access the city are 40-seater and above. Same applies to Tanzania. Tanzania does not allow 14-seater. On a day when these taxi drivers and owners want to strike, there is no jam. If you go on Entebbe Road, Queen's Way, between Clock Tower and Chibuye, during rush hour, out of 10 vehicles, 7 are 14-seater. So if we had these tax parks scattered in Ntinda areas, why say after Natete, Budo, Mukono, and buses bring passengers in the city. Without street parking, we could create, even using the available roads, this lane which is used for street parking. No investor is going to come here with buses because
they have no place.
There is nowhere they can operate from.
Dr. Sima, I would like you to talk about drainage as
Drainage
well. Because
is,
we always
whenever
wonder,
it rains in
yes,
Kampala, there
Yes.
must be traffic jam.
And we'd like those clips to be playing. There are clips of drainage we got when it rained. I think last week it was on Wednesday. So as you tell us about how that relates
It
to
affects
traffic.
us. Actually, when you see the Nimbus crowd is forming, then we are on alert. Because we know, even if it is a drizzle, a small drizzle, it affects us.
Yes.
From Entebbe to Mukono
Yes,
to
like right
Mpigi,
there.
you can see that. Now, vehicles park, they will not pass, they will not drive. They will park until the water has gone down, and they all start at the same time. So jams will end past midnight.
What's the immediate solution to the drainage system?
The engineer can
And the answer is quite simple. One, we have already, as Casey said, we have prepared the drainage master plan for the city. So we know where the problems are. Of course, as you know, I told you that there's been a lot happening. People have been building in areas where we should be having the natural drainage doing its job. And instead, all the water that is collected has to remain with us for some time until we drain it away. But we've designed channels,
Okay.
and now we need funding to be able to build them. We've only constructed one in Boise. I think you can see the relief for the people in Boise. But we need to build one. For example, the next one we are targeting is Narukolongo, because the moment it rains, if we are lucky and the person is not killed, at least those people or that part of the city is cut off.
You see, so cars are stuck because of, like, in one of those pictures, and that clip is coming right after the border, but there's a clip that shows that when the traffic right there.
Yes.
So the cars stop because they can't move.
Because they can't cross, and because the water does not have where to go. You know, water takes the shape of the container. So if you try to create a container in the natural drainage, then that's what happens. We get flooding, we get kind of dams, and everywhere becomes, a reservoir for that water until it trickles through and goes through the natural drainage channel. So we have a lot of work to do. We've done, I think, 2 out of the 9 channels that we have to do within the city. And
So the
it's a
first was
big job.
Boise and?
Boise. Now we want to tackle Narukolongo.
Okay.
We have what we call the main drainage. We have another one in Chinawataka, which crosses from Banda. We have, of course, the Chitante channel here, just down here. We also need to do some work to it. The part around Chambogo, and all this. And the water also comes from outside. This is also another thing which is interesting. So it comes from the north, sides of like Gayaza, and comes through the city and goes to the lake. So it's not only that we are collecting water from the city, but also from the periphery.
Okay. Well, Dr. Kasim, I know you have more pointers to that, but let's take a short break and I'll start with you the minute we come back. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. Thank you for staying with us. Yes, Dr. Kasima, you had a few more solutions before we take the questions.
Actually, I'm still on the why jams.
Yes.
The rest 2 I want to comment on. One is presence of roadside markets everywhere. Even I'm told KCCA gazetted other roads in Kampala to be evening markets. The other one near Saudi Yako. These roadside markets have made it impossible for pedestrians to move. Some are on pavements, others are on the road. There is a lot of competition and traffic mix.
Yes.
Bicycles, pedestrians, the whole thing is a mess, especially downtown there. Then the last one is there are so many right turns in the central business district. In many cities, you can drive for 10 kilometers before you turn. But here, wherever you want to turn or enter a main, you do it. And that one causes a lot of traffic congestion.
One of the areas would be Entebbe Road,
Like
right?
Entebbe Road.
Yes.
From Entebbe Road traffic lights
Yes.
to Korok Tower, there are about 10 turnings, both right and left. And all vehicles are now entering the main, rendering it very difficult for vehicles to move.
So what would be
Traffic
the
lights can
solution?
release them, but they are not moving. The solution is to make them one way. Many cities have one way. These right turns are discouraged.
Okay.
If you have no business, you don't go there. You will think twice if you were to go, for instance, to tax park to walk, or you get your vehicle on the roadside, other than going via Clock Tower or ShopRite to go to the tax park.
Okay.
But it would be shorter, because if vehicles were moving without being interrupted by those which are entering the road on the right turns and left turns, it is making our life a bit difficult, because we have to deploy on every turn.
One of the questions that I'm sure has come up, and is going to come up if it hasn't, is why we have police officers at traffic lights. But before we even get into that, we just want to be certain about the number of vehicles that are coming into the city. I don't know if you can give us actual statistics. If you say that the ones that we got from your...
Maybe let me clarify on that one. From what Dr. Kasima was trying to explain, what URA gave you is the total number of vehicles registered, not the existing, because you asked for...
got on site.
Yes. For example, for the last 6 years, and my neighbor here didn't know that I'm the chief licensing officer, but that notwithstanding, we are talking of total number of vehicles registered for the last 6 years. I think that's what URA gave you.
Okay.
But he's right. When you add that one to the existing, then you have minimum. Actually, when you look at even border borders, because border borders under the Traffic and Road Safety Act are classified as vehicles. So I think partly he's right, because you'll have a number of border borders not actually even registered, smuggled from Congo, smuggled from South Sudan, but they are existing in Kampala.
So the number we are looking at is between 800,000 to 1
Even more
1
than
million.
that, because if you classify border borders onto the four-wheeler, the vehicles, it is even over 1 million.
Okay.
Are you talking about Kampala or the whole country?
Kampala.
Okay.
Okay.
It's more than 1 million.
It's more than 1 million.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
correct.
okay. So let's take some questions from the audience. And as the first person asked their question, the question has already come up, Dr. Kasima, why we have traffic officers at traffic lights.
Do I answer it or I will?
Please answer it.
We are there in accordance with the law. The rules of the road regulation accords us powers to be on the traffic lights, because in the rules of the road regulation, the signal of a traffic officer takes precedence over a road sign or traffic lights.
Okay.
That is one, but that is not the major reason why we are there. There are many traffic lights where we left, like golf course traffic lights.
Oh, that's the Yusuf Lule.
And there is chaos.
Yes,
on Friday and Thursday there was chaos. Actually, people want us to go back, but we are not going there. Where the traffic lights are, because they are the ones who are choosing us, let them feel it. Where KCCA has signalized with traffic lights with modern equipment, we have left. We are only still on Ginger Road, Clock Tower, and ShopRite. But we shall soon leave, because I know their program. Why we are there, I want to give an example of Ginger Road only.
Yes.
If you don't signalize Wampeo roundabout, Garden City roundabout, and Mukwano roundabout, the Ginger Road traffic lights are meaningless. You have to control them manually.
Okay.
Because they don't take consideration of what comes from Mukwano, from Garden City, from Wampeo, and they are about 50 or 30 meters apart.
Okay. All right. So where the lights are working, the traffic officers are not.
Where we have good signals, because these ones, the new ones.
I think KCCA should tell you that we want to do away with the rudimentary method of Kasima being on the whatever, so that you tell us.
We are there because of KCCA having, to be honest, the outdated equipment on the road.
Yeah.
And I also wanted I wanted to save him, because I knew he was a chief licensing officer. But I wanted to save him, a chief licensing officer who doesn't know the number of vehicles.
No, I have them. That's why I defended the number. I defended the number which Karungi gave.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I want to just quickly to come in. We are working with Dr. Kasima on a project to make sure that we improve the situation in the city.
Okay.
And we are getting some help from the Japanese government. We are doing what we call area traffic control. We are going to carry out a pilot. So we get an area, remove all the roundabouts, remove all the priority junctions, and then we concentrate on making that area, you know, we make sure that we are in a position where we can predict the flow of the vehicles. And you know, when you have a roundabout, it causes what we call, it breaks the platoon. The platoon is the group of vehicles that you are trying to control. When they reach there, then they become random, and you can no longer predict where they are going. And that also brings in the right turns, which he said. So when you are in area traffic control, what happens is you control a group of vehicles, you take them with you, you go through, and you take them wherever they are going until those that are getting off keep on getting off. But you manage to have flow that you can predict. Okay. But the moment you have right turns, like you say, people are coming in, they are random, they disorganize everything. So we have to reach that level where we remove all the roundabouts, we minimize the right turns because they're also important. Otherwise, you don't have access to places. But maybe we put there traffic lights to manage those, and then create more one-ways. So in future, people are going to learn a bit more. It's like when we were putting Fairway Junction. They said someone must have done a master's, but now people are driving. But it's going to get worse because you need to plan your journey in future, because the moment we remove some right turns, you will reach there and then you say, what has happened? And you start guessing. So you need to plan your journey to wherever you're going.
And you run out of fuel and you're stuck, and then you create another jam.
And that's correct.
Okay, let's take a few questions from the audience. Yes, very quickly.
Well, thank you so much.
Please stand and ask your question.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Richard Ubedi. I'm a development activist. Mine is more of a comment, and it's cross-cutting, especially to Dr. Kasima. I think the traffic, the gridlock of traffic in this country is so unprecedented. And you need a lot, actually, because it's not only wasting people's time in terms of, in terms even fuel, and even the commissioners of traffic, that they're under your docket. Two, it goes to Jacob of KCCA. Well, you mentioned the issue of, in your opening remarks, you mentioned the issue of investors. We really don't need that. And I think you people are being paid to do the work. Look at how this company that was subcontracted to conduct the vehicle inspection, and you saw the amount of money that was invested there. Yet there are people and police officers who should have actually done the vehicle inspection. Then thirdly, the commissioner from Ministry of Works. I think your idea of decongestion is a good one. And then if buildings in this city can actually have underground parking, it worked in Parliament. Yeah, it worked so well in Parliament.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to, who would like to start?
Let me start.
Okay.
First of all, I think the inspection, vehicle inspection will be for the commissioner. I'll talk about the planning. As KCCA, we are going ahead. We did what we call the Kampala Physical Development Plan, and that was like a structure framework. And now we want to go to the next level where we do detailed planning for the whole city. In other words, we want to come up with a plan, a master plan, of how places are going to look like in the whole of Greater Kampala, not only KCCA, so that we can be able to integrate what Katushawe talked about, integrate land use and also transport, so that we can be able to, what would be the main use for that? It's make sure people are mobile, they're using the right means. Most of the services are very close, like he said, you have to just walk there or ride a bicycle, and if you must move from one place to another one that's a bit far, you use very efficient transport. So that will be the main thing that comes out of that master plan. And in order to do that, you need investors. Because you get chunks of land, you say they have to be developed like this, and you sell the idea to people to invest in that area, and they take it on. That's what I meant. I didn't mean investing in vehicle inspection.
All right. And Commissioner, as you respond to the vehicle inspection, there's a suggestion or an idea here, or whichever it might be, vehicle inspection, driver education, traffic management systems. What is the link to dealing with this traffic congestion?
You know, we have what we call transport integration management system. I think KCCA is in some final middle stages of addressing. That's why you have the control center. I think he mentioned something to do with the signalization of these roundabouts. To me, what as a ministry now we are trying to look at is how do we integrate these systems, whether it is vehicle inspection, driver licensing, vehicle registration, all this we are trying to look at one-stop center. To me, this is the solution now, and we are moving towards that as a ministry to see how do we have, for example, driver licensing linked up with the national identification registration authority, so that if you have the national identification card, actually the biodata there should be tied with what is on the driving license. If you are a driver, you have a badge. We don't need to go into this paperwork of filling application forms. So we'll just only interlink with these other organizations. We are already in the final stages of interlinking with the police, URA, even this vehicle inspection. All these are interfaces that we are looking at, and ultimately within maybe the next 3 years, we should be there, where you go into one building and have a service. You shouldn't be going from one place to another looking for that particular service.
From one area of the city to another.
And we've started that. We have an automation system now under the Transport Licensing Board. We've worked very well with the Ministry of Finance. We've gone through some discussion under the business licensing reform programs. I think the Registration Bureau is working closely with us. We are working with police in this other area. I think the next program now we want to look at even that driver testing. It is another area we want actually to look at, where people come into such a room and you have computers. You can have 10 people to do this theory exam. Otherwise, we don't believe in this question where Josephine comes and they say, interpret this signpost. I mean, you may say, I'm going to say, okay, you have slightly passed, but you will go into a classroom, 10 people, 20, have computers. If you fail, you don't proceed to the next level. And we think this should bring some order on the road.
Some sanity on the roads. Let's take the next question, Claire, yes? Very quickly.
Director of Vitiligo Association of Uganda. I have one question. Why is it that the traffic police sector does not have its own statistics? I mean, why wouldn't they carry out their own statistics to find out how many vehicles are in Uganda or are in the city than relying on Uganda Revenue Authority statistics?
All right, thank you, Claire. Dr. Kasima, before you answer that, let's take one more question.
Yeah, I'm Samora, like I told you. I'm the president, Makerere University Transport and Logistics Association. Well, with traffic congestion, we shouldn't only look at a few things, because it's brought up by very, very many number of factors. Now, my simple question is, can't we look at something that can fit in Uganda's budget? Because I'm glad Ministry of Works was given a very big budget that they can at least try and apply some things that we are facing as a challenge. My simple comment would be,
can't we use Uganda's budget?
Things to do like with heavy trucks. Can't we get rid of heavy trucks around the city? Can't we schedule various routes for them so that they can use them? And then we have small cars and vehicles around town, because these are one reasons as to why we have traffic jam in Kampala.
Right, thank you, Samara. Dr. Kasima, would you like to start?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, our time is fast spent.
That is not our mandate. We have a very defined mandate as traffic police, and it is enforcement. It is established by law, by the Constitution. There are other government agencies that have a mandate to collect that data, register, because you cannot get the data when there is an agency responsible for lines registration of vehicles. So we can't do what is not our work.
Your mandate.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the heavy goods, that was a good question. We are thinking about it. We have prepared a statutory instrument for restriction of heavy goods vehicles into the city. We have determined which roads they should use, the tonnages. We have listed the streets, and The minister, I think, will sign it very soon. Katushabe is leading the process of making sure we go through
we are
the
just
legal
having
process.
consultative process. You know, it is a consultative process. We would like to make sure that because you have traders, you have like during like Parliament now.
Yes.
I mean, if you say trucks do not access the city during the daytime, you know, the contractor is likely actually to push government into a corner. So we would like to make sure that all major stakeholders in the city are consulted, and then we'll be able to sensitize the public about that.
Okay. Another question that's come up on social media is, what population are we planning for in Kampala, and for what duration?
Okay, I can answer that one. I think at the moment, the government of Uganda has a vision, 2040, and we have, that's something that we are following. Then we have also the national plans, which are also working towards achieving that vision 2040. We are all following that document. But as smaller entities, again, we have plans. For example, KCCA, we have a strategic plan that is 5 years, and it deals with those kind of issues. But if I told you, say, for the year 2020, if we continue at this rate of population growth, we had the census recently, and we can see the numbers coming to about 10%. And currently, the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is carrying out what they call a national development plan. So they want to come up with cities in other parts of the country, so that it is not only Kampala that is growing, but those other cities have the services, they have all the things that you would want to get from Kampala, so that at least they reduce the pressure on the city.
Right.
But
maybe quickly to the current documents and plans that are there, the projected population is about 5 million in 2022 and 10 million in 2040 for Kampala. Yeah.
Okay, so we're planning for 5 million people, and then 10 million in 2040. Okay, let's take another short break. We'll be right back. We're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. Thank you for staying with us. Our time is fast spent, so we just want to wrap it up a little with looking at the priority areas. But just before we get there, does Kampala have a plan to, do we have a plan to make Kampala a smart city?
Yes, we have the Kampala Climate Change Plan, and that is to make Kampala a green city, looking at investing in things that are sustainable. So we should be, first of all, us as human beings in the city, we should use sustainable means of transport. The type of energy we use should be sustainable. The way we get rid of our waste should be sustainable. The water that we use, we should make sure somehow we reuse it. And we have a good plan. It is being headed by our ED, Mrs. Jennifer Musisi. And I think it's something that everyone has to come in, join us, and make sure, at least at home, you're living efficiently. Switch off the lights, use solar, that kind of thing. That's why you see a lot of solar street lighting. Okay. And we are going to be encouraging you on our streets to walk more, to ride bicycles.
Walk where?
And not to
we don't
ride
have
cars.
walkways.
We are creating some streets for walking. Like in the Mirembe Road is here marked. A street for walking.
And a non-motorized transport.
Transport, yes.
Okay. So let's have some quick talk on.
I think in just conclusion, somebody in the audience talked about human traffic. And yes, just like Jacob said, quickly, because we have now a policy for non-motorized transport, and I'm glad that Kampala has started even implementing this, at least to make plans for roads for people, not for vehicles. That's very important, because even when you construct many roads, then the vehicles actually will even increase, and you will find actually have a lot of pressure. So it's a good initiative. Two, I want to talk about attitude in the city. Even when we still struggle to deal with this congestion, we need order. This business of saying I should be the one to join the roundabout, I think it should stop. And drivers, this is my appeal. Please, let's have some order. You know, the issue, the whole problem with the driving is attitude. So much as you can train these people and you think they will be good drivers, attitude is very key. Then the last...
Commissioner, before you leave attitude, I would like to also ask about the attitude of the big vehicles that push us off the road and, you know, take the... Because I think those add to traffic as well. all the cars have to push to the side, and every vehicle, who has the right of way, and what is the place for an ambulance?
No, there is nothing
this
like
congestion.
You see, there is nothing like right over. Actually, even ambulance, including actually police vehicles, is here. I would tell you, if you are not on official duty and you put this silent, you are not supposed to push me out of the road.
How do we know?
No, we are now trying to bring it to the attention of the public, because the public has a right to get informed.
I wanted to interject.
Yes.
By telling you, it's good we are amending the Traffic and Road Safety Act.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the current Traffic
Let me finish
Act,
because I am concluding, then you will come in.
Yes,
I'm just trying to conclude.
Okay.
But he's right, because he will also, you know, we work together, that's why he wants always to interject.
Okay.
These ambulances, I think there was even a case, he's aware about it. An ambulance comes from Bombo Road with charcoal loaded, then moves towards the worker's house. So police followed it, thinking there was a patient, and then the driver was trying out off-road charcoal. So you can't just push the public out of road because you are calling an ambulance or loading passengers in the morning, then you put a siren pushing people out of the... We are trying to look into all this. We have amended the Traffic and Road Safety Act. Right now, the first Parliamentary Council, Minister of Justice, Attorney General Chambers, is looking into the bill to push to Parliament. We should be able to address this. The final one is we could quickly make these short measures. We would want to make sure that we reorganize the city in terms of transport. And I wish to inform you that right now we are preparing a paper. I think our minister will be presenting this to Cabinet on measures to address congestion in Kampala City.
All right.
Since
he has
taken all the time,
yes.
I may not make many comments.
Okay.
Make one.
That we are sending a strong signal to these people who sound sirens when they are not supposed to do.
Yes.
We have an offender in Nsanji who has got loading passengers in an ambulance taking them to Kalisizo, and we are taking him to court tomorrow. As I was saying, I'm requesting that they make it difficult for unauthorized people, whatever category, to have right of way, like other countries are doing. In Kenya and Rwanda, I think it is 1 or 2 categories, head of state, and about 2. But here, the current act has about 20. I want to stop here because of time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kasima. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to join us. This conversation continues online. We are going, I don't know if any of you is on social media.
Yeah, he is.
Dr. Kasima, are you on social media? You are?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So the conversation will continue online, and these gentlemen promise to engage you when you engage them there. Thank you for watching. NTV Weekend Edition is coming up next. I'll be right back.